Alright guys, how's it going? This is Mr. Extra from Team Extra, and this is my Brave Sky Striker DPE deck profile for the regionals. So the regionals ended up being a 9-man Swiss. Originally I thought it was a 10. They had announced it as a 9. There was a 495 initially starting. After the first round they added another 40 people, so it ended up being like roughly 525. But yeah, I placed 160. I went 4 or 5 because they kept it as a 9-man Swiss. After all, because if they would have gotten another 50, it would have been a 600-man to make it a 10. I wanted it to go into a 10-round Swiss because I probably would have got that last round. But anyways, let's get into it, and I got some surprises for you guys. Okay, let me see. Where do I want to start here? We are going to start here. Alright, so, and as you know, Sky Strikers, very first thing is going to be Ray. Now, if you never play Sky Striker, Ray is like your main extender for the deck. Easily the best one. Put her out in the field. Use her as the most common monster you're typically going to use for your link summons. Ray has a quick effect where if one of your, the quick effect is she can tribute herself off the field and then pretty much do a link summon. So you can do link summons like during your opponent's turn, stuff like that, technically, to try to pull back your material from your graveyard, like your Sky Striker spells, pull back the hand, stuff like that. When one of your link monsters or Sky Striker link monsters is destroyed by battle, card effect just leaves the field, Ray will come back to the field as well. Then we ran 2 Rosés. Rosé I didn't get to use as much today, mainly because Rosé's got a little bit of a different effect. If a Sky Striker is almost special, except during damage type, being special art from hand, so that's good. And then the other effect is if an opponent's monster in the extra monster zone is destroyed by battle or leaves the field because of your card effect, well, this card's in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. So basically, special summon it and negate one face-up card on the field your opponent controls until the end of this turn. So for actual main deck, specifically for Sky Strikers, this was all the actual Sky Striker monsters I ran for main deck. I wanted to run 3 Rosés, but I ended up submitting my deck profile. Well, not deck profile, but my deck list a little premature. I should have did it the night before so I could change it, and yeah, it showed, but it's whatever. So we're gonna get those bad boys out of the way. I also got this fancy metal field center from MCole40, or MCole Games, but MCole40, the YouTuber. Very nice little Aliber field center. Very, very nice. Made of metal. People tried to buy this off me all night. You know, they made 100 of them. This was number 87. And anyway, so we're gonna go to the Sky Striker spells and traps. I ran 1 Jamming Waves to deal with back row. I ran an Eagle Booster, which honestly, this I didn't really get to use this, but targeting protection. 1 Afterburner for dealing with monsters. 1 Multi-Roll to cycle back the Sky Striker spells from your grave and basically give your spells protection, assuming you can actually resolve Multi-Roll's first effect of sending another card from field to graveyard as cost to do it. Then 1 Area 0 to try to excavate top cards from the deck and potentially try to use that to hit Multi-Roll this to hit Area 0, because you target a card, you excavate 3. If you hit a Sky Striker card, it destroys the target and you get the Sky Striker card to your hand. And if Area 0 leaves the field, it says sent to the graveyard by card effect, so just sent to the graveyard. It can be destroyed, any of it. It just has to go to grave. I get the special summon a Sky Striker Ace monster for my deck, so most of the time, 90% of the time, it's going to be Ray. Then we're going to go into the more of the MVPs. We have a Hornet Drone, so make a Sky Striker token. It gets stats if you got 3 spells in the graveyard. It'd be 15/15, but Hornet Drones is a dark token, so I would actually just put out Hornet Drones to climb in the Dark Charmer, to steal one of their monsters, to climb in the access code. Then we have one Engage, because Engage is single-handedly the most busted spell card for Sky Strikers as currently printed. And not once per turn, plus draw power. It's pretty nice. It's very, very nice. We have sorry, 2 Shark Cannon to banish stuff out of my opponent's graveyard, or to use it to steal stuff from my opponent's graveyard, depending on how many spells I have in mind, which I use this more for stealing than I did for just banishing their stuff, unless it was early in, because I could just fish Shark Cannon back with Kagari. And finally, 3 Widow Anchor. Widow Anchor was another MVP for today, because I would use it to steal my opponent's monsters. I would use it to basically as a cheap imperm early into the duels, so I can try to slow down their combo. Overall, it was pretty good. Widow Anchor, Shark Cannon, Engage is probably the most used cards in here. I use Afterburners a little bit, and I use Area Zero a little bit, but you know, Widow Anchor and Shark Cannon really put that work in. Alright, so we're gonna elaborate the next stuff. Where is this at? I ran the Brave package. 3 Water Temple to do Water Temple things, banish to search for right. 3 rights to create the adventure token and to set up for a Faithful Adventure. 1 Faithful Adventure to initially search for Griffin Rider, and to search for Dracoback. 1 Dracoback to bounce cards off the field back to the opponent's hand. 1 Griffin Rider to throw it on the field to negate. Now, Sky Strikers play with stuff not being in the main card zones, but how I was running this is I would, if I'd seen everything, I would go Sky Striker, do my Sky Striker stuff, then go right, do my right stuff or my token stuff, end up with a token, a Sky Striker, and then Griffin Rider. And then I would use Fusion Destiny and go to DPE initially. And everyone was like, why are you running that? Isn't that weird? It's like, well, I can clear my own zones pretty quickly, because Griffin Rider being on the field, they're going to 100% try to out the negate. So Griffin Rider is guaranteed to go back. And then other than that, just get rid of the token, which you could get rid of the token with DPE. So, like, on end phase, I could have DP out, then I can just pop the token off the field, put DP in the graveyard, and at that point, we're good. It just would depend, because I also put the token out, and I actually swung down a lot of people with the 2,000 token. It was actually pretty funny. So we're gonna move the Brave stuff out of the way. By the way, this was a 48 card pile. I don't recommend 48 card pile for Sky Striker. I didn't want to do 60, but I really wanted to test this out, and I already locked it in, and we ran it, and we still technically placed positive, because I went 5-4 instead of like going negative, so I still had positive wins. Alright, and then as you know, Fusion Destiny and the 2 bricks for it, Dasher and Celestial. I hardly ever got to use Celestial and Dasher's effect today, because people just kept hitting it. Anyone who knows what it does knows how annoying it is. But hey, you know, you win some, you lose some. So the next thing we're going to go to is the just random extra stuff. I had a Terraforming to search out Area Zero, but initially I had Terraforming in here because it was a card that I can side that wouldn't change the outcome, because I can use Engage to search out Area Zero as well. We had 1 Roto to search out Ray Rose. We had 2 Cyclones to deal with just annoying face-up cards like Lost World. Like I used it on Lost World today. I used it on Field Zones today, and then just face-down shit. And then lastly, just 2 Dark Ruler No More, which Dark Ruler No More was kind of an MVP a little bit. And I ended up probably using it 5 rounds out of my 9. But when I did, results were achieved. Alright, so we're going to go into like just the generic hand traps. 1 Called by the Grave to do banishment. I believe I ran 3 Veilers. Let me find it. 3 Effect Veilers just to negate stuff, and then I would also side out 1 Effect Veiler, because a 48 card pile, I do not want to draw into a hand of Effect Veilers, because chances are I'm probably not going to use all 3 of it, especially if it's turn 1. Then we have the I ran Imperm as well. Imperm is pretty good. Imperm's just good for just general negation. Then 3 Joy Spring. If you don't know what this does by now, when your opponent tries to search cards from the deck, same cards to the graveyard, you can stop it and negate it. And then lastly, 2 Ghost Ogre. Ghost Ogre is pretty good because I would use it and I'd pop Faithful Adventure because I went against a lot of Brave Engine stuff at this regional for the Columbus regional, which initially there should be one in about a month from now that I'm going to hopefully attend that one too. Come back with something fresh new. I will not be running Sky Striker this time. I'm actually probably going to put them up for a little while and taking my hand at something else. Okay, so that is the hand traps, and I believe that is all the main deck stuff. Alright, so let's move on. We're going to go to the extra deck. Extra deck, we have the DP for obvious reasons to harass the Verde to get the DP out if I can't top deck Fusion Destiny, which I top decked that a lot today. And then I actually ended up using Verde for bait half the time too. We have Access Code Talker, which Access Code Talker was an MVP. I won 3 games with him, just straight up, because his raw force, throwing him out, not being able to respond to him, and then just dumping on my opponent. It was actually really clutch. Then we got the Sky Striker stuff, but hold on, I ran the Dark Charmer too. This was easily an MVP. I would use this to go in the access code, and then I would steal their monsters, go in the Dark Charmer, and then Dark Charmer steal the monster, then I would normal summon my own monster and go to access code and try to swing for game. It was pretty good. We got a 3 Shizuku for just stripping down your opponent's overall attack and defense on their cards based off the spells in graveyard and that search on the end phase, which was pretty nice. I ran 3 Kagari just to dump a spell in the graveyard. Kagari doesn't dump, but I would use Hyate or try to say if I top decked Engage or searched it out with Shizuku, I would end up fishing it back and using it again with Kagari, ending up letting me do it twice. Kagari was pretty good key factor today. I used her in every game. I used Shizuku in every game. There's no game that I did not use those. Then we have Hyate. Use Hyate to foolish spells in the grave after she does battle. I did use her a couple times to attack directly over someone's board, but I mean, I did a lot of just attacking with her as well too. She was pretty good. I used her in every game. Kiana. I actually thought I wouldn't use Kiana that much, but I ended up using Kiana quite a bit because I'll give you a scenario. So I would go, they would swing, if I had Shizuku on the field, they would get rid of Shizuku, and then their stump battle phase, and then Ray would bounce back from graveyard to field. And then I use Ray effect to bounce her off field and put down Kiana, and then I would target one of their monsters and lock them out from being able to attack until after the end phase, which I ended up doing it, I think 3, 4 of my matches out of the 9, to where it actually saved me from being killed. I used it way more than I thought. Way more than I thought. And then 1 Zeke. Zeke, the target banished up to opponent's end phase. I used him maybe twice the entire tournament, or the entire regional. But, hey, he was still effective. Most of the time, if I was going to go into, like, Zeke, I'd end up just going in the Dark Charmer and then pushing the access code instead. Alright, last but not least, we will go into my side deck. I had 2 Dark Kaijus, which I sided them in on and off throughout the regional. Never actually seen them, unfortunately. 2 Dimensional Barrier, same deal. Sided them in. It was supposed to be a heavy fusion format, and it definitely was not a heavy fusion format, that regional. A lot of people were still playing Lynx. They were on Prank Kids. They were Prank Kids, Dinos, all this type of stuff. 1 Area 0 just to have an extra one. I didn't ever have to side it in. 1 Raigeki I ended up never siding in. 1 Fibrax, because I was going to initially side him in to go into access code, but I ended up just basically using Dark Charmer to do it instead. And Afterburners, which I did side in probably twice just to have 2 of them, mainly against scrap Dino decks, which ended up paying off. 2 Lancias for initially if I go against Flounder, which at this regional I didn't duel Flounder once, and it was also no Flounder, no heroes. I did duel Eldritch though, and Eldritch players like to just push for time, and I ended up using Lancia for that. 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, which I did side in probably 3 or 4 times to clear back row. 1 Nightmare Unicorn that I sided in once, I ended up never using because I would just jump in the access code. And then 3 Nibiru. Now the 3 Nibiru, I have 3, but I never sided in 3. I sided in 2 Nibiru. I did it for like, I believe 5 of my matches, and I won 3 games over nibbing their board and then giving a proper response in my turn. But that is pretty much it. I wanted to try out the Brave Adventure DPE. Well, the Brave Sky Striker DPE. I tried it at locals. It did pretty good. I went up to the regional. Just to let you all know, I haven't been to a regional or YCS or anything like that since 2007. And it's definitely changed since last time I've been up there. And always call a judge. Don't believe what your opponent says, especially if it sounds like it's wrong, because I learned that my first round. I'm not going to elaborate just because I'm not going to hate at this point. There's no point. It's over and done with. But yeah, this is the Sky Striker DPE, well, Sky Striker Brave DPE deck profiles. 160 out of the highest number for the tournament being 525 or something like that. I know it was like definitely over 5. It just started out 495, and then they added people after the second round because they made an announcement about it. But hey, someone had to try it. Personally, don't do it. It still went down. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys. The regional video should be up soon for the whole recap of the entire regional for the vlogging and whatnot. So look for that. Stay tuned, like, comment, subscribe. And don't forget that we have Friday Night Locals. That video for playtesting. I have a new deck that I'm going to be playtesting. Then we also have Duel Night on Saturday. Duel Night might change. It's subject to change. I don't know. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. And thank you.